All right, we'll call the May 19th meeting of Washington City Council. Please rise and come to the sound, followed by. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilmember Alexander. Here. Councilmember Brandon. Here. Councilmember Brinker.
Here.
Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Missouri. Here. Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Law.
Here. Approval of minutes from the May 5th regular meeting.
Second.
Motion for a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander. Yes. Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri. Yes. Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Public comments and requests. Comments from residents and city taxpayers.
Hey everybody, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Matthew Crook. I'm a lieutenant at Citizens Host Company. I just want to talk a bit about our CDBG grant application that we're bringing up. It's for a new epoxy flooring at Citizens Host Company. As you guys probably have seen, if you've been around the firehouse or been near the fire pit, there's been a lot of change going on. Renovating the new section of the firehouse above the bays, and then on the other side, next big thing we like to take on is the epoxy flooring. A lot of it's for our safety on the floors. Floors get pretty slippery. It's an older floor. I don't know when it's been done last for service. But the new epoxy flooring, not only is it going to be safe for us, but we have a lot of community people that come in. Fall teams do their chicken barbecues there. People just want to come and see the fire trucks. We have elections being hosted there tomorrow. So not only for us, it's going to serve the better of the community. A firehouse is a community foundation for a lot of people. So in total, the project cost is $27,240. We have an attached quote here as well. We've committed $9,000 to the project, and the funding requested is $18,240. Anybody have any questions for me? I can try to answer. Yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
We'll put that in the public hearing.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. 4B, use of full watershed for drones in the forest management.
Mike Wolf is requesting permission to hold a drones in forest management demonstration at the Old Dam, June 18th, 2025. This demo would be primarily for forestry professionals and anyone on Lock Haven City staff who might be interested. It is a free event, and if approved, I'll work with the organizers to ensure that paperwork permits are required if they need a key, etc.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second. Is there comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander. Yeah. Councilmember Brandon. Yeah. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri. Yes. Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4C, closure of North Vesper from Maine to Jordan's Alley on specific weekends in July and October.
This is a revision from Uncle Albert and Mark Hackner, who is here if you have questions. This is requesting the closure of North Vesper Street from Main Street to Jordan's Alley on July 19th and 20th, August 2nd and 3rd, August 16th and 17th, September 6th and 7th, and October 17th through 19th. This would be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and it may just be for that Saturday date with the rain date on those Sundays. And then I'll work with them to coordinate with Public Works barricades. This does not interfere with any of the other street closures. And if council would like, I can send you a full list of all the street closures after this meeting as well, which has been sent to our chief of police as well. So he has all of our closures, and it actually, everything kind of coordinates nicely like we had discussed a couple months ago. So
Yeah, I saw that. Beautiful big picture.
yep, I can send that. I actually cornhole tournaments, cornhole tournament.
Thank you.
So that, because that doesn't say that on there, cornhole tournaments and other events to get more people to come on down. Check out something.
That was one of my questions, what is the other events for, besides cornhole?
Yeah.
The only other, the only other event that I have in mind is just homecoming weekend, that's the October weekend. It's the 50th homecoming for Lock Haven University, so trying to coordinate something with them. But besides that, just formal parts and stuff, and the event we have already.
Okay, are you having bands
No,
more than just that one time? Only because media coverage, don't count on them to notify the residents in the area. And they, you know, try to reach out to them and be proactive. Let them know you're gonna make noise that day
Yeah.
on the block.
yeah,
And if you're gonna put any additional bands at these later dates, please do so also. Since this is the second reading, right? This is the second reading.
It would be kind
But
of
this is
third.
revised.
Yeah.
Should we have another reading just to give the people a chance to comment on the added dates and the revision to the request? Because that's what we did it originally
That'll be up to council.
was, so I'm questioning is why we have the two readings so people have a chance to comment, but now this is revised. We should read it one more time, not that I'm against it, but just to be fair about everything. So that's,
If you'd like to make that within your motion.
yes, I will. If I may do that.
Make a motion through with an additional reading to give it time. So that.
The next count, the
And
next
realize that there's a change to it. So that is the motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Okay.
I have a second. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Just to clarify, there's no, this is not a music event, this is a cornhole event, there's not going to be.
correct.
Except that one time they're already approved.
There's not even, that's from 11 to 2, that's the pride event.
Yeah.
There won't be a band, there'll be a few performances, not a band. It's really, yeah.
I'm just concerned about the
Yeah,
residents.
just to
being-
make,
we're not-
Letting them know it'll have off a whole lot of problems.
just to make it clear what's going on.
Okay,
Okay.
sure.
I have a motion on the floor. Second, any further questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander. Yeah. Councilmember Brandon. Yeah. Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes,
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yeah.
Mayor Long.
Yes.
Who was it?
And we,
Just wanted to.
we have any other questions? Okay. Unfinished business. 5A, letter from the FAA regarding LHV defense operation.
This is a letter sent to the city, from the FAA, from the Harrisburg Airport's district office, It was sent on the 14th of May, outlining the grant assurances and requirements and for the through the fence agreements. And I just provided for your information, but also for comment from the city airport committee. If you have anything to say on that, I don't know.
gonna go ahead, I'm gonna ask permission from council to bear with me because I do think, and I see the airport folks here, some of the people that are here about the airport. Did they get copies of the letter? To be clear, this letter is from the FAA. We did have a very productive, what we felt was a productive meeting. And I want to, for the purposes of public comment, read portions of the letter. This letter concerns the through the fence access to William T. Piper Memorial Airport granted to several adjacent landowners. It appears that some of these adjacent landowners have residential access, others have commercial. Please be advised that the city of Lock Haven, as sponsor of LHV, is in potential non-compliance with the terms of pertinent federal requirements as noted below. As the recipients of federal grant funding from the FAA for LHV, the city is obligated to comply with a series of airport assurances. Airport Assurance 5G provides sponsors of commercial service airports will not permit or enter into any arrangement that results in permission for the owner or tenant of a property used as a residence or zone for residential use to taxi an aircraft between that property and any location on that airport. Sponsors of general aviation airports entering into any arrangements that result in permission for the owner of residential real property adjacent to or near the airport must comply with the requirements of section 136 of Public Law 112-95 and the sponsor assurances. Emphasis added in parentheses afterwards. The above referenced section 136 of Public Law 128-95 provides that for RTTF, that's the residential through the fence, access to comply with the airport assurances, there must be a written agreement between the airport sponsor and the property owner that requires the property owner to comply with the following minimum requirements. To pay airport access charges that, as determined by the airport sponsor, are comparable to those charged to tenants and operators on airport making similar use of the airport. To bear the cost of building and maintaining the infrastructure that, as determined by the airport sponsor, is necessary to provide aircraft located on the property adjacent to or near the airport access to the airfield of the airport. To maintain the property for residential, non-commercial use for the duration of the agreement. To prohibit access to the airport from other properties through the property of the property owner, and to prohibit any aircraft refueling from occurring on the property. FAA's Order 5190.6B Airport Compliance Handbook provides guidance for implementation of FAA's Airport Compliance Program. And skip down to where it says specifically, the guidance provides that airport sponsors must ensure that through the fence access holders are charged no less than rent charged to similarly situated on airport users. The guidance provides the following example. If the airport sponsor charges $100 per month for a single engine aircraft tie down on the airport to pay for the cost of airport operations, then any other single engine airport operator using the airport through the fence should be charged no less than a similar fee. The guidance goes on to say that TTF operators are not protected by the grant assurances. Airport sponsors may assess a fee if it deems appropriate for through the fence operators, so long as that fee is not less than the comparable fee paid by on-airport tenants who are protected by the grant assurances. Additionally, the order provides through the fence agreements can have the effect of affecting the airport's ability to be self-sustaining in violation of Grant Assurance 24 fee and rental structure, because the airport may not be in a position to charge through the fence operators adequately for use of the airfield. Then they go on to list some relevant facts and chronology. In October 2023, the FAA advised the city of its concerns with through the fence access at LHD. The FAA subsequently provided the city with guidance as to how to enter into through the fence access agreements that comply with the airport assurances. In July 2024, the city provided the FAA with draft commercial and residential agreements for review, and the FAA provided comments. Nevertheless, currently, no written TTF access agreement exists between the city and the adjacent landowners that have TTF access. Furthermore, it is our understanding that the TTF access holders are not paying any fees to the airport for access. This is their analysis. Based on these facts and circumstances, it appears that the city is in non-compliance with grant assurances for any RTTF access that exists to LHB because there are no written access agreements in place that meet the aforementioned requirements of Section 136 of Public Law 112-95. Additionally, for both the RTTF and CTTF access that exists to LHB, it appears that the city is in non-compliance with Grant Assurance 22A because the rent is not being paid by the TTF access holders to the city for access. 0 is less than the rent being paid by similarly situated on airport users. Finally, it appears that the city is also in non-compliance with Grant Assurances 24, fee and rental structures, and 25, airport revenues, for allowing the use of the airport land for aeronautical purposes rent-free. Finally, we feel it is useful to point out that by failing to collect appropriate rent from the TTF access holders, LHB is less financially self-sufficient than it could be, which may lead to the city having to support LHB financially if the airport's expenses exceed its revenues. Thus, the fact that the TTF access holders are not paying any access fees to the airport may result in additional burden to the local taxpayer. Furthermore, the situation is completely unfair to the on-airport tenants that pay fees to support the airport, while the TTF access holders essentially receive the same benefits at no cost to them. Next steps. We request that within 60 days, the city provide a corrective action plan to remedy the above described noncompliance. There appear to be two alternatives to resolve this matter. These are the two alternatives. Number one, the city entering into agreements with the TTF access holders that comply with the airport assurances, or number two, the city taking steps to terminate the TTF access by the erection of a barrier or some other means. Then they ask us to tell us which way we plan to go. So that's the letter in a nutshell. The FAA.
Oh. Doing a CDBG public hearing within the meeting. Yeah, with your.
Within the meetings.
Then.
Thank you. So we have Monica Fox here from CEDACOG. She is the project coordinator / analyst and is our person handling the CDBG program for the city. I'm going to turn it over to her. Council, you all have a separate meeting agenda packet in front of you, and there are some in the back. Like to follow along, but Monica, please go ahead.
Good evening, council. 7:16, I'll call the hearing to order. I'm just gonna sit for I'll walk through the agenda, so if everyone has one, we'll just follow along. Just a little history, the CDBG program, which stands for Community Development Block Grant, was established through the Pennsylvania Act 179 in 1984. So we don't have the allocation yet for 2024 funds, but what we do is we estimate based on 2024 funds what we'll get in 2025. So the estimation for 2025 funding is $309,392 for the city of Lock Haven. If you turn to page 3, we have the application schedule. So these are important dates to keep in mind. So the third one down will be City Council project review and selection. So above that is, today's project development workshop and first public hearing. City Council project review and selection will be June 2nd at 7 p.m. at a council meeting. The public notice for the final public hearing will be July 9th. That will be in the Express. The final public hearing will be August 4th at another council meeting at 7 p.m. And then the approval of resolution to submit the application will be August 18th at 7 p.m. at another council meeting. Typically, we submit our applications sometime in October, early October, though they are due at the end of October officially. We like to get them in a couple weeks before the due date. So those are important key dates. So what's eligible and what's ineligible? If you turn to page 4, some of the eligible activities are water system improvements, sanitary sewer system improvements, storm sewer system improvements, housing rehab, housing construction and reconstruction, public community facilities, recreation facilities, public services. Public services are generally not construction-based, street and road improvements, parking facilities, historic preservation, removal of architectural barriers, solid waste facilities, code enforcement, economic development, acquisition and relocation of properties, clearance of properties, disposition, utilities other than water and sewer. And the main ineligible activity categories are operation and maintenance activities, political activities, new housing construction, acquisition, construction, or reconstruction of buildings for the general conduct of government, and then equipment with the exception of fire trucks. So there are no match requirements or expectations for the city of Lock Haven, and important application obligations for any applicants are to include a detailed project description, and there is a application here. I think it's page 5, so you can see sort of what it looks like. Oh, sorry, page 6. Page 6, 7, and 8. That's the application there. You'll want to include a location map of the area, service area map, detailed project budget, national objective justification, and we'll walk through what that means, including a census or survey, schedule, like the timeline of, construction, or if there is a construction, just put NA for public services. Ranking project summary form attached. So, like I said, the project summary is page 6 through 8. Right. So we'll just quickly walk through the national objectives. So this basically tells you what, who can apply or whether your project would qualify. So there's 3 national objectives that fall within the categories of being eligible projects. So the first is principal benefit of the project to low to moderate persons. So we'll want this to benefit 51% of individuals that are low to moderate income, and that is always detailed in the most up-to-date ACS data. That can also be acquired through a survey, service area survey. And you can use up to 70% of the city's CDBG funds for this national objective. The next 2, you can use up to 30% of the budget for these 2 national objectives, and those are elimination of slum or blight and response to urgent need. So I've included 4 public announcements, the fair housing notice, which is always published, city building, displacement plan. This you're welcome to read through it, but what we want to take away from that is that the city does not intend on taking on any projects for CDBG that will displace any individuals. Section 3 preference, I'll read through this since it's a requirement. Section 3 resident is a person residing in the service area of the project or grantee who has an income below $43,300 per one-person household. Section 3 business concern means a business concern meeting at least one of the following criteria documented in the last 6-month period. Number 1, it is at least 51% owned and controlled by low or very low income persons. Number 2, over 75% of the labor hours performed for the business over the prior 3-month period are performed by Section 3 workers, or it is a business at least 51% owned and controlled by current public housing residents or residents who currently live in Section 8 housing. City of Lock Haven invites such Section 3 concerns to contact Cedar Cross Community Development Program, and upon proper documentation of eligibility of preference, will be provided enhanced opportunity to participate in the federally funded projects. I have my business cards here if anybody wants for my contact information. And then last, Section 4, 504 outreach and notice that Abigail Roberts is the Section 504 officer, so she can be contacted for any Section 504 concerns. And then lastly, the project review. If there's any commentary by City Council or the public for 2025 projects, we've already heard one, for previously funded projects or environmental or historical matters.
Do have comments on that, what projects the city is looking at for possible street paving. Our superintendent of public works has identified some streets. We just have to verify eligibility. And then we're always looking at water and sewer as we have those issues arising. And a small portion of recreation may be considered, but at this time.
Do you know what streets you were looking at or not?
The superintendent said over Prospect Street, Linden Street, South Highland Street, and West Walnut Street.
Prospect, Linden, is it?
Yep. Highland,
So. Was there a fourth?
West Walnut, West.
Okay.
Are there any comments from council or anyone in attendance?
Well, we're here to discuss if anyone has a CDBG project idea or need.
I walk a lot around. And I also bike, I'm a cyclist. So like there's an active transportation plan that's gonna be doing stuff with bike infrastructure that's in place, but things like installing bike parking, that's something that is really lacking. Don't know if that's something that Additionally, something like a community center. For a lot of people that they just want something to do around town, and that's significant to a lot of people. So where that, I don't have a plan or anything, but this first thing.
Anyone else?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
From that part?
Yep.
5C, consideration of the omnibus resolution number 2025-20.
In front of you, you have a resolution and also every single plan, policy, and resolution included in that resolution. In front of you, we are striking from the list of financial management plan for further revisions. But every other aspect will be adopted today upon approval by the city council.
Number 9 is not.
Correct.
Yes, so I have a motion.
Question.
Yep.
Under 15, language access plan, it does not name anybody. Just says name, we should put a name in there. Like you are the house, fair housing, yeah, we should put, I don't know how many languages you speak.
1.5.
1.5 maybe. But there's nothing listed, so when I read all that, that sort of jumped out at me.
Okay, we will
I can't tell you a page number,
yeah.
but I know it's there. So next to the last one.
Yeah. We will update that for the final.
And you have a motion for the resolution as stated.
I'll move the resolution 2025-18.
I'll second.
Motion for a second. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yeah.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yeah. Do we have any other unfinished business?
Have none.
6A, new business, consideration of resolution number 2025-19.
This is a resolution to apply for the People, Parks, and Community Foundation grant. This is a grant that was sent out through Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society for conservation related activities. So we'll be applying for $30,000, which is the max you can apply for through that grant for the Lock Haven Conservation Education Project, which will include a rain barrel workshop, native plantings and workshops, and then it will also go towards the stormwater retention pond and community garden at Hoberman, which will help to take some of those costs down at Hoberman.
We have a motion on the resolution. Motion, you have a second. Second, any questions?
Casey, it says a lot, I looked, it had an underline for grant terms and conditions. And it lists that, and I put circle in them because it's like everywhere. Is there anything in terms and conditions that would tie us up or our hands to
No,
city asking for that? Is there a match to the grant?
There's no
Or the
match.
grant is
Yep.
grant? Because I didn't get to read the terms and conditions. Just wanted to be
Yeah.
careful that we weren't getting into something we couldn't live with.
Yep.
Did you get to read them?
yeah.
So you're recommending approving,
Yes.
and we'll cover any additional costs that are not.
Yep.
Okay.
Take it out of my paycheck.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yeah.
Councilmember Brinkley.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes,
Mayor Long.
Yes. 6B, notice of transfer of the PLCB license for 270. And
This is a notice from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board of the transfer of the license to 277 Susquehanna Avenue. Just for your information.
what was from that?
Community to city to parents are.
The request from the Clinton County Water Filtration Authority.
These next couple are for your information as well. What of correspondence we would like on the record at this public meeting. Requests from the filtration authority to discuss the pressure reading valves. There's a couple letters here, couple back and forth for the record. And if anyone has any questions, especially the water subcommittee, we both to chime in as well, but
Actually, yeah, we, two members of the committee and myself met with, several of them today. You kept notes. So.
I did keep it. We met with the filtration authority today, as the mayor said, the mayor, member Conklin and myself. And what the filtration authority is at, I know we've talked a lot about the high pressure in the lines, problems with usage. And of course, everybody knows we've had some problems with line breaks, and those things continue to go on. We are looking at doing a major overhaul of the pressure system over the course of next year. It won't be this year. But in the meantime, the filtration authority is asking us to begin a more intense monitoring of the pressure on the system. They made some suggestions about correcting how the pressure is being monitored now. And once we get some good solid data from monitoring the pressure, then we need to look at whether or not there's one particular pressure regulator that's they think is source of some problem, but we can't be sure till we monitor the pressure more efficiently. And if that turns out to be the case, they gave us some suggestions about replacing it, repairing it. If we replace it now, we can reuse it. It didn't need replaced, we can reuse it. We can make a repair to the existing pressure regulator. So we did, I thought we had a very productive meeting.
I thought it was good to get it, and there's been a lot of communication they brought up about not talking a lot about it. Who knows where the efforts to make one system are headed. Either way, there should still be a lot more communication on how it's all being operated, so that everybody's in the know. And I think today's meeting went pretty well overall. And they had a lot of, these are the people that have the experience in dealing with. You know, as I mentioned, they're at the top of the hill where the water is coming downhill. They should be more aware of the information and, part of the solution for problem running into. Do you have anything else?
No, other than it kind of became not just an issue, but the city was already looking at these particular valves, and when the filtration authority proposed a solution, we had already made application to a loan for that process. So it kind of got one on top of another, figuring out how we're going to pay for it up front and how it'll get paid back on the backside. So that's part of the discussion that's currently going on as well, not just the event, but how it's going to be funded up front at least. So,
And I think it's also, how things pay between the entities and so on. We had some discussion about that because there was some strangeness to how it works currently because of how it started so long ago. And so again, I had a lot of good discussion, and although we did recognize those things that we're working towards a plan, they were suggesting some quicker short-term resolutions until that gets in place, because it's costing us all kinds of water and all kinds of money, and we have people fixing breaks all the time. That's something that's gonna happen with water systems, but it's happening more often than it really should be. So they were making suggestions on how we might address those things a little more quickly. Anything else? We just talked about correspondence regarding agreement for a connection. That was the second thing. They also brought up while we were there about the, new wells. And that we do need to work out, an agreement on how that's gonna all go, through the filtration plant. It's a new element to the system that's gonna be a benefit to the system, but, since it wasn't part of it, there isn't an agreement. We need to work that all out on how that's gonna. Personnel update.
Yeah, do you want to do the E6E or that?
No, I just, it's kind of trying to cover all of it. It's when you mentioned about how we're paying some things, I probably covered that. I apologize.
Sure.
Yeah, but it had to do with, how we're gonna fund the debt service and so on. Rick had brought that up earlier, so.
For personnel update, just have a few items to mention. For the police department, newly hired Eric Young will complete his Act 120 Academy within the next few weeks. He will be available to join the force as a probationary officer in June of 2025. Newly hired Landon Klaus will shortly begin the Act 120 Academy with support from the governor's PCCD grant. And be available to begin on the force in or around November of this year. Officer Griffin Dunlap has resigned from her position with the force effective May 26, 2025. Dunlap has been with the city for a little over 5 years, so we thank her for her service. The vacancy caused by this resignation, the chief and lieutenant will prepare to advertise for another candidate. While I'm working with PCCD to have an extension on the incentive grant until next year, so we can incentivize another officer to apply and pay for that Act 120 training and hopefully get another personal course. For code enforcement, code clerk. Yeah.
Jen runs a jacket.
President. Will begin her retirement on May 20th, 2025, after 36 years, 7 months, and 29 days in service. In all, Donna has worked 9,148 days or 73,264 hours for the residents, property owners, and tenants of the city. Brian Taylor has been hired as the property maintenance officer for the city, starting on or about June 30th of this year. Brian already held a certification as an ICC property maintenance inspector, and was also formally credentialed as a residential building inspector in BCO. Brian is also a graduate of leadership in Clinton County. Lastly, beside me is Casey Dunn, CPSI. She recently passed her certified playground safety inspector course. So having park and recreation equipment and sites inspected to certify their continued safety will help the city maintain its equipment as we continue to do our updates and also secure more favorable insurance rates through Penn Prime. So a little update for you. You have questions?
Just when we thought we were gonna have police force.
Right.
So close. So far.
We thank the officer, but this, not for leaving us, but yes. And, he said, it's a lot of time. The rental inspection program and.
Really good stuff.
See, you can always bring.
Oh my God, so happy.
No, no. Thank you.
I have to say for my 29-year tenure, Donna's been there with me. And so it will be a big change.
We're glad that happened. Great, gracious.
Yeah.
Oh, she- Yes,
Big thing is you just kind of got group with all this other stuff.
walking around with that sugar.
Can we farm you out to other communities now? Not freelancing, but from the city.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Yeah. Do we have any other new business? We have our FYI reports there. Any other council members have anything from your committees at all you want to share? Okay. Does anyone else have anything to bring to council? Yes, sir.
Oh, this right, Tom, I'd like to revisit the FAA letter. It leases on our side of the airport. I'm with Airports Lock Haven, Bob Larson. The business has been there since 1944, and we only use, if at all, the airport, but we're willing to sign a lease, mainly one reason to protect the value of our property. And also, we've spent $20,000 over the years maintaining the taxiway to get to the property, but we very seldom use it. I think we used it once in the last year. We're willing to pay a reasonable rate. We think $2,880 a year. Use the airport. Business going 13 people that don't do anything on the airport is unreasonable. We send the lease back to the city, about 30 houses, stating what we'll pay. It's reasonable at $200 a month in advance, 5 years with no increase. And then we're all lined out of the lease, send it back to us. With the old lease, at $2,400 a month. The lease isn't written for a business, it's written for a residence. It says we can't do flammable, we have to name the city insured, they notice they can come in and inspect our hangar, business. It just, the lease is unreasonable. No one would sign that lease. Plus, naming the airport on an insurance policy, which costs us more money. I don't understand where we're going here. Then, 3 weeks ago, we see surveying out in front of our building. But can put up a fence, and a roll-on gate, to block us all off the airport. So we try to get a hold of the contracting company to find out what's going on. Evidently, this is an FAA grant. I want to ask the city council, was that a grant that's been accepted and signed? It is a matching grant?
Yes, the grant agreement has been signed, preliminarily. We have not, we're in the engineering phase now, which is what you've seen. Our engineers were on our property surveying, and they are rolling gates, to block off the private properties to the airport property, public property. We are moving forward with that, have not received the money until that engineering is complete. I believe it's a 5 or 10% matching from the city right now. But we do have non-primary entitlement funds that could be used to cover that matching portion, and have the city's cost as zero.
So we're gonna have 2 sets of fences. We're gonna have the fence that was put in after 9/11, which was the FAA project, and that was approved. And now I'm gonna put a fence in front of the fence.
Yeah, the fence that we will be installing will be separating our property from your property, be more secure.
And for other properties.
Correct.
Correct. Well, if we think the amount that is on the lease is unreasonable,
All of your comments have been received through Justin Hauser, and have been sent back to the FAA for consideration. They are in their hands now with your comments, and we should hear back from them shortly. That was one of the other results from our meeting, last week.
well, one other comment. If I read the specs right, when the contract for put up the fence and says they're gonna put two 25-foot gates, roller gates, which are very difficult to maintain during the winter. Opening and closing. And they're not big enough for, some airplanes have 42-foot wingspans and you leave about this much space on each side. And I think that needs to be looked at to make the opening bigger, and there's room on each side of the rolling gate. And a rolling gate in the winter here is pretty tough to use. So I don't know how it would work with a pass code or surely it couldn't be manual to open a 50-foot gate.
We're looking at getting electric to the gates and whether that would be an aspect. But the roller gates, I'll take the comment back to the airport engineer, but he has done these projects before. And it's also being reviewed by FAA and BOA for specs.
Yeah.
The roller gates they won't be rolling along the ground, they'll be rolling within its own track on the fence. So that will eliminate, like, you won't have to clear the snow in front of it or behind it, or grass won't be an issue as well.
Well, just summing up my position, or our position is, we don't really need the airport anymore. But we're willing to pay an excess fee, but not $2,800 a year. We don't think it's reasonable. Especially the other residents, who use my apron to taxi out to the taxiway that we built.
Think
We should have some consideration for the money we've spent on that taxiway. We've been maintaining it for years.
that's the
Resurfacing.
taxiway comparison. I believe at the airport now it's a $10 a day tie down fee and $240 a month for T hangers. So according to the FAA's letter, it must be not less than that amount. So that would be tie down would be $300 a month. So we have to take that into consideration. And to the other aspect, if you do not need access to the airport with your business, the fencing will allow us to secure that. So if you do not want access, you don't have to sign the agreement, but you will be fenced out of the airport.
And this
And
is,
then if you're,
Well, I was gonna let him finish, so I could respond back to him.
well, I understand that,
Finish.
but I think in view of our past in the airport, not because we've been there so long, but the fact that we hardly use it, I think $240 a month is too much. And if we would ever move, because we don't really need to be on the airport. But if we'd ever move and someone would be interested in our property, I think it's a devaluation if they can't get on the airport. Of course, at that point, I assume they could sign a lease.
correct.
But the lease, I wish you guys could read it. It gives the city access to come into our hangar anytime and check for flammables and other issues. Insurance we have to pay for the city. Meanwhile, we're paying insurance and taxes and everything else in our bill.
The agreements, leases are nothing that the city drew up. They are FAA, BOA templates that we've drafted to our airport that are our tenants, and that's what you've seen. We have not added any extra requirements than what's required of us.
Well, I don't think the airport would object to charging a lower rate.
The airport, as in the city,
Or the FAA, charging.
The
a lower rate.
FAA, Barbara, the letter earlier, it stated that we had to do.
They won't, Bob. They want us to be fair to the other people who are paying for their access to the airport. They told us that. Well, that's an example.
Now,
Yeah, but
now,
that's their example. If somebody else is paying $100, then you have to. The T hanger people are paying $240 a month.
Hold on, let's stay in order.
here's how it is. I'm gonna be very blunt. We have 60 days to enforce this. We're cut off all FAA, BOA funding. We're trying to do things down there, but we also have to run an airport. You guys have to decide, are you in or are you out? Sign the lease or don't. I have rentals, and some of you guys do too. You don't negotiate what's in that release agreement with the renter. They either accept it or you find a different rent. And that's how this is gonna end up being. We have 60 days to do this. You gotta take it or leave it, Bob, and that's how it's gonna be. And if you move out, whoever moves in and if they want a fence, a gate, they will pay to put a gate in. They can't.
They'll pay for access.
They'll pay for the access to it. And as far as flammables and things, that, Abby was right, that all FAA, that was written all by them. So you don't compromise the safety of the airport and the hangars and everything else that's there. It's just a record, you should be doing it for yourselves anyway, to keep your flammables in the stored locker. It should be all those type things, you shouldn't have a problem with that. But that's how it's gonna end up being, we have 60 days, and we're gonna draw that line in the sand. And you're either in or you're out, and that's the fee, and that's the rules and regulations, you sign the lease or you don't sign the lease, end the discussion. That's it.
That's great.
That's all it is. Yeah. That's how it is, no matter what past history, and we appreciate everything was done and all the history you've given us. And everything, we appreciate all of that, but we're being told this is what we will do, here's the action plan, and we gotta let them know, and I tell you what, we're gonna let them know. And that's something, that's how it is. So it's either, and I can't say that, get off the pot, but it's the line in the sand thing.
We don't get to make the rules in this case.
So I was trying to be blunt and direct and to the point, because I'm not gonna lie to you. This is what we're gonna do. So,
So it's up to us to decide what we want to do.
yes,
We will.
and you only have less than 60 days, because our time already
I
started.
need 60 days.
Okay,
One of the questions, when does that leave the people who use my apron in front of the building to get to the taxiway, to get to the runway?
I think,
The 4 residential guys.
they have, they each pay, but I can't be positive about that. I don't think one person can pay and everybody else uses it. It's through the fences for you and your business.
So I'm just curious.
That's all, that's how
I could make decisions in my own business,
Yeah,
but wasn't an exception made for the museum?
not yet. We haven't decided on anything.
They,
For
yeah,
sure, yeah.
they are, yes, there will be some kind of consideration made for the museum.
But
That isn't up to us to decide, that the FAA, they are working on, there's going to be some kind of accommodation made for the museum.
And that is specifically because it's a nonprofit that benefits aviation use.
all right, I know what to do.
Can I make a point? There we go. Very quickly, last meeting, I think was really great, we started talking, that was a great thing, but anyway. The only person that's not in compliance with that fence. They're Lock Haven. That gate, your gate, has been open for over 2 years, allowing anybody to come in there, putting up for a hell of a lawsuit, if somebody's there, to get hit or whatever. You know, you're yelling at us. And the other thing is, there's a perception, you're right, I never paid a penny. But for 30 years, we maintained the north side, and now you've got your secretary out there on the right and left north. If I'll gladly pay $100 or so a month, not have to do mowing. I don't know how many other secretaries have their job security, or job description, rather than nowhere, but she's out there up and then keep on the side. Anyway, that's the point there. You guys have been out of compliance for all this time.
Well, it
Now-
won't be anymore, so it won't be allowed to be.
Was that the gate there at Hangar 2?
But sorry,
Is that the roll gate at Hangar 2 there?
that's
Where
where
you
you
come in,
can
Rock?
the main airport. Okay. You've been there on a holiday. And half the gates are open, but the one on the right, that's not working anymore. That's an electronic gate. Now, when you take money from the FAA, you have to maintain it. They then give you a free elephant, but you have to feed it, you know, one of those deals.
It hasn't worked in 2 years. It's been open, anybody can drop right in, up to the back of our hangers.
And secondly, is
Take a note.
and the other thing is, the land you're talking about, whether you know it or not, I owned that land for a long time. The city approached me to buy it. I can tell you a story about that, kind of a weird deal, but I have
what they agreed to put the fencing in, I haven't. I have Leonard Hannigan's signatures, I have all that. I know I've been told it. I think the manager said that my papers weren't worth the hell of beans. Well, anyway. So you put that fence in where he's talking about putting it, not only you knock us up, what about Lee Gilbert's hangar? You're not gonna, your son, he has a rear door. Because that's a hangar for big commercial planes. You know, if the blue water planes up, now he'll be trapped in, and the gate would be.
Are you here representing him?
I know very, very well.
Let's keep it,
What's happening here? I mean, there's been a lot of things here that I think you need to look at. Now you've got 60 days, but it'd be really easy. We have agreements with the FAA. But all you have to do is put the amount of money in. Instead of that 16 page. We can't sign it. My attorney says there's no way because I give my property rights away. Can't even sell my property without the city's compliant or they can't. If I do, they get right of first refusal. So if I'm gonna give that to my kids or whatever. You can't sign stuff like that. That's reasonable. You know, unfortunately, I don't mean any disrespect, but why don't you have anybody, and I'm not saying myself or anybody, that knows anything about aviation of what people need. You know, you have a manager down there, now you're gonna make Boeing a nightmare. There's a lot of things that need. I think we should, last week was really good, but we talked. I think what we didn't do is talk a little bit. Now we talk that, but talk.
Unfortunately, we've talked for 2 years. Right, we've talked for 2 years. So now the talk's over. Talk or make the, it's one or the other.
Well, there is a phone number on here. There's a phone number on here and an email address.
Oh, I know.
I mean, after we talked last week, then we got quite a dressing down from the FAA. So a very firm dressing down.
We had a little talk the other day, which we decided to keep kind of.
All right, well, that's okay.
That is-
But we got,
Bring it up.
but we got a dressing down from the
But that's
FAA.
the-
There, and we haven't just been out of compliance for the last 2 years, we've been out of compliance for 20 years. And so we're in trouble and we've got to
You
rectify
can
the
get
situation.
this done in a week if you just take a regular FAA approved thing, put the things in, we sign it, and be happy because I don't want to mow it.
The letter,
I don't want to
the
mow
letter
it.
we received.
I did it for years, 30 years. Airport.
Mr. Wade, sorry. You know, I've listened to you guys about this a couple of times now. The letter we received was very clear of what we have to do.
I understand.
It's very clear. We can't veer from that now. Whatever we might have done doesn't matter anymore. They told us this is what you will do. And they're up here, we're down here.
They didn't tell you that you had to pull my property, did they? They didn't tell me.
That is their lease.
That is lease,
That
lease
is
thinking.
the lease came from them.
now.
That is their lease.
We have not interjected anything into that.
That is a lease that's used for, right.
Did you call the number
I have-
that's provided in that paper?
Right.
Have you?
They didn't, they just got this.
Okay, so, I mean, your best bet at this point is to call the number provided in the paper because our hands are tied. The FAA came and told us what we needed to do. We are relaying that information to you guys. So now if there's an issue with that, then you need to contact the FAA and let them know that that there's an issue with it, not us. You need to contact.
They give us a 16-page lease. Every other airport, biggest one we saw was 2 pages. What the hell's going on?
Good question
We're
to ask.
not gonna resolve this.
Yeah, we're not. That's a good question to ask.
And,
Their eyes are upon us and they're gonna write everything in there
yeah,
that they can think of,
Yes,
make us
I'll
comply.
be honest with you, I'm
That's
the.
not what this says.
That's right.
They say do it and send it to them. Let's do it and send it to them.
It's to them.
Let's do it.
We don't have it back, but all the corrections and all the changes everybody asked for, and it had to be wiped out. We had to send it back so that they could approve it. It's to them.
This doesn't say anything about that.
We just told you that, when we met with them, the lease that we had sent them, the Niles and everybody had made all their changes on it, we wanted to say this, we wanted to say that, the FAA said, no, this is the lease. Get it?
We haven't seen that.
You did see it, well, you did, maybe you didn't see it, but everybody saw it and made changes and corrections and met with Justin and all those sort of things, and that wasn't acceptable. The documents went back to the FAA, they're in their
I
hands.
never got documents, never.
You never saw
You
it.
received a lease?
I got nothing.
Did your representative, did your lawyer receive it?
My lawyer, I don't have a letter.
We said your lawyer told you not to sign it, you said.
I'm sorry.
You said your lawyer told you
I
not to sign
went
it.
to the other, it's not, I have a letter that said this, I was no longer represented. I just went and asked questions, he gave me an opinion, just like you go, that to me is, no.
So
I don't
Abby,
support
the leases have been sent back to the FAA.
Yeah.
We should have them directly, they promised us they will move quick.
We like to
They
see,
want us to move quickly, but we can't do anything.
Lease comes back, you'll get.
Final motion to adjourn.